Good Friday afternoon to you. All right, I've been really busy of late. I'm tired. I could be taking a nap, but to quote Weird Al, I'll be mellow when I'm dead. Yeah, there's just so much to do as far as the garden and other stuff around the house. But now I finally got a chance to get out to the garden, so I'm going to skip my nap, my old man nap, and get this going. I could give you the whole plan on everything I'm planning on doing. Let's open the gate. I'm not going to give you the whole plan just yet because it keeps changing around on me. But one of the first things I need to deal with is I've got a riser here, and if we swing around the wall, you see there's another riser in the distance right there. And between those, what I'm going to do, because we want to be able to run the sprinklers for the terraced garden on a more regular basis. We also want to get more water up on the citrus trees, because I did some research and I found out that probably the reason why we've got splits, and let me see if I can demonstrate a split. A split would basically be an orange that pops off of this tree. Let's see if I can locate one. Yeah, there's one. Probably about middle of the picture. I'll try to highlight it here. And that is an orange that just kind of splits along the side and then eventually falls off, and it's not a usable orange. So we get that here. We get a few others on the other trees. This is the tree that's hit the hardest by that, and it turns out that inconsistent watering is not so much too much water or too little water, but inconsistent watering. So I think what we're going to do, you see I've already got one adapter at the top of this riser which is coming down, and I believe that is feeding the lower wall here. Now I'm trying to remember exactly where that goes. But you can get adapters that you can put on the risers. So another thing I can do with this riser is I can put an adapter on here. I can run up to that tree and put soaker hose. I can put soaker hose on the other two. We got 3 trees here. We've got the Valencia orange, we've got the lemon, and we've got the tangerines. What I want to do is get consistent water on these things, which means watering the actual veggies and fruit while we're not necessarily watering the rest of the yard. So I can have my garden here too, and we can water it. But ultimately, we don't need to put water out front here on the corner of the house or this side of the driveway. That particular sprinkler head right there is a different zone, so that's a different proposition entirely. But how do we separate the two? And I don't want to go all the way back to the manifold, which is in the backyard, and run all new pipe coming through. That's just way, way more work than it needs to be. I had to think about it for a minute. What I finally came up with was that between this riser here and the other one there that I started talking about, I'm going to put a ball valve, and what I'll be able to do is shut off, I'll be able to reach over here, shut off a ball valve, and then from this riser on will not actually run, so I can run the rest of that particular zone. So it's a virtual zone, if you want to call it that. But in order to do that, I need to expose this pipe, because I need to cut the pipe and extract the old pieces of pipe, put new piping between the two, which will accommodate that valve. And in order to do that, I got to get weeds and other junk out of here. And also, I need to get my gravel bins out of here, and those couple of but I need to move these bins. I might as well move them out of the way. I need to get all of this heavier rock out of here. I need to clean a bunch of stuff up around here. And so all of that just so that I can expose the tea on the bottom there and the tea on the other one, so I can soak them in penetrating oil, so that I can ultimately be able to back out 50-year-old pipe. So all of that explanation. Now let's get to this part of the job. Okay, so I hope it's a little bit more obvious what I was doing now. The whole point was to be able to soak those, but I had to reveal them, and if I'm going to cut that pipe out, I had to kind of dig out around it. And on top of that, when I got to this side, I had these giant bits of root that were just clogging the heck out of it. So, yeah, let me get rid of that before it turns into something else. It starts growing. Yeah, so now the plan will be, I think I'm going to make a couple of cuts with a reciprocating saw, one about here, and probably one about here, just to kind of give you a perspective. Probably right about there-ish, somewhere. So I don't have too much pipe that's still sticking into the T that I have to try and back out. I'm trying to think now. That one's going to go counterclockwise. The other one, oh yeah, they're always going to go counterclockwise. Lefty loosey, righty tighty. So that was the plan on that. I had to move these big bins. I've kind of wrecked my area here, but once I get this back together, I may actually dig back a little further into the hill, so I can make a little more room for all this extra rock. And then I got to figure out what to do with this bin, plus there is a 5-gallon bucket off in the distance there of just stuff that I removed from it. Yeah, bunch of stuff to figure out. There is a garden plan. It is changing as I go, so that's why I'm not giving you all the detail just yet, but this was the idea for today, was just to get this to the point where I could soak it. I could even come back out in a couple of hours and soak it again. That'll give me a much better chance of being able to actually remove the pipe. Then I think I can thread in an adapter and go full PVC all the way. That's assuming I can get the pipe out. And after I cut it, I can't turn this zone on until I get it all fixed. Hui, that's it for today. Let's see what tomorrow brings. Good Saturday morning to you. Alright, we're getting started a little earlier today. Time to soak this a little bit more, pull out the Sawzall and see if we can't actually cut the pipe. Last I checked, the blades weren't in the greatest shape, but the only way we're going to know is to actually give it a shot, so here we go. I'm kind of caught on the fence between whether that was good or bad. The riser breaking off while I was trying to saw, that's not that big a deal. I think I can get that coupler off and be able to replace that pipe. I'm not too worried about that. I still have the other end, and I'll set up a better angle for you so you can watch me try and get that off. I did cut it in 2 places. That was part of the extra vibration that you were seeing, but it occurred to me it'd be easier to kind of deal with it if I'm not trying to pull off like 5 feet of pipe out of 1 T. So anyway, let me get some things set up, and we'll come back and you can watch me do the other. Victory is mine. That took a little bit more effort for the second one, but it looks like the threads are good. I didn't destroy anything else, so 1 repair on top of the original project. It's not a big deal. In fact, it was a plastic piece that broke, not the metal. Like this one here is actually metal. It holds up a little bit better, but it's about 5 times as much money for a pipe that length. Maybe not that much, but it's more expensive. So anyway, Now, I guess the next thing for me is I need to go get parts to put this all together. The first thing was I had to get it apart to make sure I could actually do that, and it wasn't going to turn into a much larger project. I hope it isn't. But, yeah. So I need to get parts, but actually the bigger car is out right now. So I think what I'm going to do is a little bit more picking. We've been enjoying some fresh squeezed orange juice, but we're almost out, so it's time to pick some more oranges. Oh, there is one other thing. I need that bucket, and that bucket is currently filled with gravel. So let me grab that bucket and set up, and I'll show you where I'm going to put the gravel. Okay, this is something I've been thinking about for a little while in terms of what to do with all the extra gravel. And it turns out, since I had to build up a little bit of gravel right up in there, and in a couple of other spots further up, to cover up the manifolds for the micro sprinklers that I put in last year. I've been thinking, well, okay, I put some of the gravel in there. How about if I just spread the gravel along the edge here, make a nice border out of it, but still let it kind of stick up a little bit there so I'll know where my manifolds are. Don't want to bury them completely. But I do want to kind of make a nice gravel border along here. So that'll be a good use for all that gravel that I have. That's the larger gravel. The smaller gravel is actually going by the driveway, if I can get to that project at some point. But yeah, so that's what I'm going to try and do. That bin is now empty, so I had to stop where I stopped. But I tried to get, I'm trying to do this with still attached to the tripod. So it kind of tapers off down there, goes up along, tapers off down there. Like I said, the bin is empty. That stuff's heavy to move. At first I grabbed a 5-gallon bucket thinking, okay, we'll be productive, but that thing was heavy. So that's why I only got the 3-gallon right there, and I was using the 1-gallon to fill the 3-gallon, and then eventually got to the point where the bin was light enough that I could just pick up the whole bin and dump it in there. So accelerated right at the end. But yeah, I think that'll look nice. Let's water it in. There's a lot of dirt on those rocks, so I'm going to try and water it in real quick, and I'll come back and take a look at it. Okay, break time over. I've got some parts I went and picked up. So the basic plan is this will go in here. It's a threaded to slip adapter. Try and get that to focus. So that's just going to thread in, and then it has a slip connection that you would glue. And I'm going to do it the same thing on both ends. Then I'm going to cut pipe to get that ready to go. And ultimately, this is the shutoff valve, which I can just rotate clockwise and shut it off. So that is the plan. You'll see me assemble it. Let's get cracking. Missed it by that much. Well, all right. I thought I was leaving a little bit extra, but after everything got glued up, I kind of forgot how far things slip into other things. So I got the one pipe on the left side, so to speak. I've got the shutoff mounted to that pipe, but the pipe that I cut to go between here and you can just barely see it at the edge of frame there. That one's just a hair too short. The solution is simple enough. I just need a coupler, and I can cut another little piece of pipe, and it won't look perfect, but it'll get buried under the dirt anyway, and nobody will really know. But unfortunately, I went to go look for what we've got lying around. I found a couple more parts that aren't in our regular parts bin. They're both, one's half slip and half thread. Sorry, half slip, half thread elbow. That isn't going to help me. And this is a cap. But if you can kind of imagine, basically just another piece that has this sort of slip connection on both sides, and then I can slip an extra little piece of pipe in there. That'll solve the problem. It's like a 50-cent mistake, but I'm going to have to go drive to go get the part. So, yeah, I'll go do that. I'll come back, and we'll finish this up. And just like that, I'm back. And it occurred to me while I was out shopping that if this is the coupler, which I picked up actually 2 of them, just in case anything else goes wrong, and I don't mind having a spare for any other repair work I might be doing. But yeah, that basically has this one little thing inside there, so you're really not... I'd have to cut another piece of pipe to make up the difference, and it'd be a short piece. But what occurred to me also is it's a perfect opportunity to add another T. So if I wanted to, I could add a T that would then allow me to do some adapting and go up to the citrus trees, and this would be the perfect place to add that part of the system in. Not exactly right now, but I think I have enough to cap this off so I could actually use this to make up that difference. I'd have to cut the pipe where I want to put the T. The T would be behind the shutoff, meaning that it would actually, when that is shut off, I would still have water going through this T. So that kind of works. So I need to do a little bit of figuring on where I want to put it. But also what the T does is, I don't know how well it's going to come through. There's a little ridge inside there. And if you kind of look at it, there's a ridge on the other side, but basically it's about the width of the T. About the width of... the width of this part here, which may be just enough for me to make up that difference that I had with the pipe. So I need to do a little figuring, but ultimately, let's just get cracking. Okay, now that that's done, the last thing is for me to fix over there. I want to cap that off, and on the other side of the post, I want to fix the damage I did earlier. I did find another piece that we just happen to have, so I can piece all that back together. And then I can do a water test, but ultimately, we're supposed to really let this stuff set up for a half hour before, at least according to the instructions, about a half hour before we give it a pressure test. So I think I'm just gonna take a break, come back later, and I'll give it a pressure test. But unless something goes wrong, I think I'm gonna call it that's it for today. Let's see what tomorrow brings. Good Sunday morning to you. Well, the water test went well last night. Nothing significant dripping. This is working. The shutoff works beautifully. In fact, right now it's actually in the off position, so that means that this one and everything beyond it are not active if that zone should happen to turn on, and it actually increases the pressure back behind, which means all the stuff in my garden is getting good water. I still need to at some point deal with getting some soaker hose up around the trees and all of that, but First task for today is just simply to clean up the mess I've created here, rebury the pipe, kind of get things back to the way they were before I changed it out. And then I think just start pulling weeds and start working my way across. I do need to rebuild some of what's over here because ultimately I want to get those bins back where they were and start kind of rebuilding my soil maintenance area and maybe get to creating another compost bin. So let's just get cranking and see how far I can get. Okay, time for a little bit of a break, but you saw me clear a bunch of this out, and if you're wondering why I'm digging back here and I'm going to work my way across, ultimately this is the soil management area. I have bigger bins here, and I'm just thinking ahead. At some point this year I may need something bigger than these small bins that I've got for the gravel. I managed to get rid of the bigger gravel yesterday by putting it, actually I forgot a bucket. 1 bucket's worth, but I put it on the side. Now I've got the sort of pea gravel right here that I have a plan for, but I may end up with more than I need. So at some point I may have to upgrade from the smaller bins to the larger bins like these right here. So I just figured as long as I'm over here working on all of this stuff, it just kind of makes sense to get that taken care of, to excavate back far enough that I can put 2, maybe 3 bins in there, and that gives me more room. Meanwhile, what you see me sifting there is the beginning. You can see the sifter, the box right there. This is what I was using last year. I have 2 of them. I have one that's 1/4 inch mesh and the other one's a 1/2 inch mesh. And between the 2 of them, I can sift the soil down to less than 1/4 of an inch, which goes in the bin, and then the 1/4 inch is the pea gravel, which ends up right down here, the one that I just showed a minute ago, and the larger gravel is going right over there where I've got the covers on top of it. So it's kind of tight quarters, so I have to keep moving stuff around, but eventually I'll get soil management taken care of and I'll have more room to move, and then I'll be able to get other parts of the garden taken care of. Okay, that should be a reasonable representation of what I'm planning. I can stick the two smaller ones in there. I had to leave a little gap right here because of the riser for that sprinkler, but and I think if I get larger bins, they'll probably fit in there. I might have to carve out a little bit over here, but I didn't want to carve out too much because when you look at it from the other side of the gate, I just wanted to look like nothing really changed. I still got all the weeds to pull up above there and all of that, but I want to get these bins in and clean up a bit. I spilled a lot of the gravel when I was putting it in the bins, and the bins are going to be that much heavier now because I added more. But I also have the soil sitting in that third bin. So now I have some table scraps and some shredded paper I'm going to add in there. But yeah, I'm going to take a little break, and then we'll come back and you'll get to see me do all of that. Good Tuesday morning to you. I got a couple hours. Let's see how much stuff I can get done. Well, that's not too bad for an hour's work. Uh, I'm not going to completely strip the tree of tangerines. I did want to open it up a little bit more. I'm just keep trying to kind of trim stuff off the sides. I can actually see more that could be trimmed off. But I've also got to watch out for, there's a trap up there, right almost at the corner of the house. Right there above my finger, that the county puts out. They've got one there. There's one actually in the next tree, right up there. And what they're looking for is fruit flies that are going to cause problems for fruit. So we are kind of obligated to let them put them up there. I just got to watch out that I don't actually knock them down. Although in past years they've been knocked down by the wind. There's nothing we can do that. Anyway, got a bunch of trimming done. Got a bunch of weeding done. Not all of it. There is up on the top of the wall there. One particular tangerine. I saved this one. Well, I need to consume it. Let me see if I can get this up in there. Maybe you can see there's a hole in it here where the stem pulled out. When that happens, this thing's going to go bad pretty quickly. So if you leave the stem in, it'll hold on for a while. So whenever that happens, those are the first ones we consume. I've already had a couple of them, took a break. So next up, you can see some envelopes on the wall there. What I actually want to do, hopefully this won't be too shaky, I've got my bins there, and I did the one compost bin yesterday or the day before. I have the existing compost, and I've been trying to figure out what to do with the existing compost. What I want to do actually is I have a bunch of 6-packs. Let's see if I can't swing around here. Just so much stuff to watch out for. So we got the big garden pack there with a bunch of 6-packs in it. Got a couple of those. One of them has a bunch of soil in them because I tried to grow some ice plant, the same stuff that's up on the hill here. I tried to grow that last year, it didn't quite work. So I want to empty all of those out into a different bin that can then get resorted, and then I'll have those available. I can fill them up with the good but dry compost, and then I'm going to plant some seeds, which explains the envelopes on the wall. Basically, it's my way of sorting out all the different seeds that I have. I'll have an envelope that says lower level, another one says middle level, something like that, and some other stuff that's part of the plan for the garden. But I'm going to go ahead and swap out the soil here, get that set up, and get some seeds planted. It is February 1st now. I'm hoping that that gives them a good head start. Hopefully it doesn't get so cold that they all die off, but it took me until I think May last year to get going with planting seeds. I want to get going early this year. I generally prefer to plant directly into the ground, but if I can get them going in 6-packs, that also gives me a chance to kind of weed out the bad ones, or give some of them away, or depending on how it all grows. So that's the plan. Here we go. Curses, foiled again. Alright, well, battery went dead. This time it wasn't the memory, it was the battery. But that's what I did. And now we officially have seeds planted. Let's see what we've got here. We've got the round zucchini, sometimes called an 8-ball. We've got the Space Master cucumber, which is a different cucumber from last year. That one is more of a bush habit, and I'm hoping will not take up quite so much room or go climbing everywhere like we had last year. I planted 6 of each of these. I'm not going to use all 6 of them, so once again this year, depending on how they come out, I'll give away what I'm not actually using. Probably the family and friends, and we'll see who's interested. No more melons this year. That was a bit of a disaster. We've also got the bush bean called Contender. We've got another squash, a straight neck. We've got the patty pan. We loved that so much last year. We've got to plant more of it. Maybe I'll figure out how to fit 2 of them in the garden this year. And then we got the yard-long beans. Now the beans didn't do too well last year, but I'm trying for bush beans in hopes that will help, and I'm also hoping to plant earlier and a little bit deeper, or maybe not deeper. That was another idea I had. There's a lot going on here, folks, but we got 6 6-packs, 36 potential plants there. I'm not going to use them all, I'm sure, but to have them planted feels good. Just to get something in the ground. February 1st. Yeah, by the time I am where I was last year, I will have almost mature plants. At that point last year, I think it was May when I finally put seeds in the ground. Maybe April. You'd have to go back and look at the year long to see kind of when things started to grow. I'll get more stuff planted, but that's it for now. That's it for this video. I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to say thank you so much for watching these videos. Whoever you are, thank you. I'm hoping you're learning something. I'm hoping you're enjoying just following along for the journey. Take care of yourself. Take care of the ones around you. And may your thumb be green.